hundreds and hundreds of text messages. I just looked at my client's cell phone log this morning in the hallway before I came in here. Hundreds of text messages, including, Your Honor, more than 25 text messages yesterday.
Court does call the case. First kind of occurrence.
Alexander, on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Morning, Your Honor. Richard Blifford on behalf of defendant Ernst is here in the courtroom with me.
Your Honor, today's date and time for an emergency bond violation hearing. At this time, the defendant is going to acknowledge the allegations that are set forth in the complaint.
Bond violation.
Bond violation, correct.
Okay. Anything from the people?
Your Honor, I'll just rely on our previous motion. I do want to say, I did mention that there could be a potential for future charges. I do need to get a little bit of further investigation done before I make a final decision on that for both defendant and defendant's mother. They were both submitted on by Ann Arbor Police.
Who was?
Defendant and defendant's mother.
All right. Okay. Anything you want to say?
There are actually quite a bit I want to say, Your Honor. Defendant is the parent, is married to the victim in this case. There's a highly toxic and dysfunctional relationship with victim. The victim sought a PPO. There was never any allegation that there was striking, hitting, assaultive behavior.
What you're about to witness is not just another courtroom hearing. This is a case packed with obsession, betrayal, and decisions that would shock even veteran investigators. It all started with a single statement that instantly froze the courtroom, hundreds and hundreds of text messages. The defense attorney had barely stepped forward before dropping a bombshell nobody expected. He had just reviewed his client's phone records, and what he found was absolutely unbelievable. Not 10, not 20, but hundreds of messages exchanged in complete violation of a court order. And if that wasn't enough, more than 25 messages had been sent in just one single day. At that exact moment, every eye inside that courtroom locked onto the defendant. Because suddenly, this wasn't just a bond hearing anymore, this was turning into something far darker. And nobody in that room was ready for what would come next.
In the PPO, there's more threatening behavior and things of that nature, but not like I've been punched or I've been hit or anything like that. In any event, the PPO was put into place earlier in the winter. The PPO obviously was at the choice of the victim. I'm just going to lay it out for you, Your Honor, and maybe in a way that's not helpful to my client, but I'm just going to lay it out for you. These people have been in nonstop communication with each other since the day the PPO was granted. Hundreds and hundreds of text messages. I just looked at my client's cell phone log this morning in the hallway before I came in here. Hundreds of text messages, including, Your Honor, more than 25 text messages yesterday. The parents have a child together. The child's birthday, his first birthday, was on April 12th. The parents went to church together on April 12th for a birthday party for the child. They visited with the fire department and took the child on a ride in the fire truck together recently. The victim, I read through every one of these texts, and as an officer of the court, I could tell you that there is not a scintilla of evidence that indicates that the victim is scared of the defendant. The victim is asking the defendant to come and be part of her life. The defendant has Venmo'd the victim thousands of dollars since the inception of the PPO.
Then, the defense attorney did something almost nobody expected. He told the brutal truth. He admitted his client and the alleged victim had never truly stopped communicating. Even after protection orders, warnings, and direct court instructions, the contact never ended. Text after text, phone call after phone call, money transfers, secret visits, church outings, birthday celebrations. These two weren't acting like enemies, they were acting like a couple trapped in complete chaos. A toxic cycle, impossible to predict, impossible to control. The attorney described it as a relationship drowning in emotional warfare. And with every sentence he spoke, the judge's expression grew colder, because what sounded like romance was beginning to look like criminal obsession.
How does he Venmo her? She calls him and says that it's money and he Venmos her money. The victim has shown up at the defendant's house. Defendant has been at the victim's house. It's a highly dysfunctional relationship. Some of the texts, Your Honor, that the victim has given I read this morning, some of the texts, the victim is advising the defendant on how to beat this case, on what strategies he needs to be using to beat this felony case against him. And so I'm making some admissions to the court that maybe under some circumstances would be against the best interests of my client, but I've been in front of you, Your Honor. I know you're a straight guy, and I think the court would rather hear this than some nonsense. That's been the relationship that's going on here. The defendant is 31 years old, Your Honor. He's a honorably discharged member of the United States Army, served in the airborne, served in Ukraine, served on the border of Syria. He receives an 80% disability payment through the Veterans Administration for some lower back issues as a result of parachuting. He has been enrolled at Washington County Community College, and on May 6th, he's supposed to receive his associate's degree in transportation technology. So he's been involved in a 2-year program. He's supposed to graduate from that program in the next 2 weeks, Your Honor. He has final exams coming up in the next.
Now, guys, this is where the story takes a dangerous turn. The attorney revealed something even more disturbing. Thousands of dollars have been sent between them. Late night requests, emergency calls, emotional manipulation, financial pressure. The alleged victim reported the showed up at his house and he showed up at hers. And somehow, despite all of this, nobody walked away. But then investigators uncovered messages that sent chills through the courtroom. Texts allegedly showing the victim advising the defendant on how to beat his own felony case, how to fight the charges, what strategies to use, what to tell the court. At that moment, the line between victim and partner became terrifyingly blurred.
Few days. Court can see his parents are here with him. And they share with me, and the victim and the defendant shares with me that there is some counseling that he can get through the VA that would probably be appropriate. As an attorney, and I know you're an attorney, it's frustrating to me that the defendant has conducted himself in this way. I've shared my frustration with him about this. It's just very frustrating that I can't impress upon him that, or I haven't been able to as of yet, that I don't care if she shows up at your house. If she shows up at your house, you run in the house and lock the door. That's what you do, and that's how you handle it. And so there's been some monumental bad judgment here in regards to this allegation of an AirTag being put in her car. The defendant says that took place at his house with the victim participating in this. So,
Excuse me? That he and her did it? That they did it together?
he said that she came to his house unannounced in Ann Arbor, his parents' house where he lives. They discussed putting an AirTag in the car so he would know where her and his child is, and she said that would be a good idea. And the AirTag was placed in the car. And
If that's true, then why does she have concerns when it alerts her phone?
Because it's a highly toxic relationship, Your Honor. The parents are trying to evict the parents are in the process of evicting the victim from their.
Then the defense shifted gears and began painting a completely different picture of the accused. A 31-year-old military veteran, honorably discharged after serving in dangerous conflict zones. A man who had jumped from aircraft, served near international borders, and carried permanent injuries. A father, a student, only weeks away from earning his college degree. His parents sat silently behind him, watching every second unfold. The attorney begged the court to see more than just the allegations. He admitted his client had shown monumental bad judgment. But he insisted this wasn't a monster, this was a man making catastrophic mistakes. And for a brief moment, the courtroom fell completely silent.
Condominium where the former marital home, the parents are the owner of that home. They're in the process of evicting it. It's a cluster of incredible proportions that are happening here. The amount of legal fees in this case are eye-watering, Your Honor. And I think that I come here today asking that the defendant be given another chance. And I can't promise the court that he's going to be able to control himself to not communicate with this person. I think that this brings it to a level of seriousness that we haven't seen up until now. But I think that he deserves another chance. There's no allegation of physical.
Well, and maybe counsel, and I get that they've got a child together and that there might be some conduct, although there shouldn't be.
Hundreds and hundreds.
Right. But the problem is he's the one under the court's jurisdiction. And I know you know this.
And
He's the one that cannot have that conduct.
And I've told him that his parents have told him that.
But what I don't get is I don't understand this AirTag. If they're having so much contact, why do I need an AirTag?
Well, I mean, I could just tell you anecdotally, on my phone, I can see where my wife is at all times, and so
I can do that without an AirTag.
Yeah.
All she would have to do is share her location with him, and he would know.
Your Honor, all I can tell you is,
But then, everything exploded with one single word: AirTag. Investigators discovered a tracking device hidden inside the woman's vehicle, and instantly, the entire atmosphere inside that courtroom changed. The defendant claimed it was mutual, planned, completely cooperative. He insisted she agreed, that they placed it there together. But the judge wasn't buying a single second of it, because the police report painted a completely different story. And with every question the judge asked, the defense began losing ground. What once looked like poor judgment was now starting to look like calculated surveillance.
I'm seeing texts as early as this morning at 9 o'clock, at 8 o'clock this morning, texts from the victim saying, I'm going to the prosecutor's office because this is all a big misunderstanding. I'm not making that up. That's the text I see from the victim at 8 o'clock this morning. Okay. I saw the same text from the victim 3 times yesterday. She texts him that this is a terrible misunderstanding. And so the defendant is here. He's executed, he's demonstrated monumental bad judgment. We're here falling on our sword. We're not here trying to say that this didn't happen. I told my client, what are you going to do? You're going to come tell the judge you didn't do this? You're not going to lie in court. And so we can't do that. That's not an option to come to court and deny this. That's just not an option. It's not an option for me as an attorney. It's not an option for the defendant. And so there's just bad judgment here. I'm hoping the court could give him the proverbial second chance. I'm hoping that you could impress upon him the seriousness of this. But I'm asking you not to take him into custody, Your Honor. I just don't think it rises to that level.
Counsel, let me just say this. I hear what you're saying about the contact, and that shouldn't even be happening, and I'm sure you're after about that. It rises to a different level when I'm tracking your whereabouts. That's my problem.
The defendant tells me that this was done cooperatively between the parties. And
All right, guys, this is the moment everything collapsed. The judge leaned forward, stared directly at the defendant, and made his position crystal clear. He believed the texts, He understood the toxic relationship, but the tracking crossed a completely different line. No excuses, no emotional speeches, no second chances. The courtroom froze as final arguments came to an end. The defense made one final desperate plea, begging for mercy, begging for freedom. But seconds later, the judge delivered the devastating decision. Bond revoked. Defendant remanded into custody immediately. And just like that, one reckless decision changed everything forever.